Hi, I'm Andrew with JVR Industries, and this is going to be a how-to video on how to replace the torsion springs. These are the springs that are on the back of your lid on the JVR Vac100. If your lid is not staying in the up position when you let go of your finger and it's falling down, then what's happened is one of these torsion springs has broken and they need to be replaced. So I'm going to get into it right away here. First thing you got to do is remove the back cover. You need a 3mm Allen to remove the 5 screws that are around the back. Take the back cover off and make sure your machine is unplugged. No power at this point. With the 5 screws off, you can actually hinge the whole machine forward and lock it into place. Make sure it's locked into place so it doesn't fall down. And then what I highly recommend using, if you have one around your house, would be a nut driver. Now this has a bunch of goofy extension or adapters on it because I don't have my normal tools here. But what you want to use is an 8mm socket with some sort of nut driver because you want to go at it straight. You can use a wrench. It's just a little bit easier going on if you use like a straight nut driver. So 8mm is what you need. So what we want to do is we want to remove the lid. There's a total of 4 nuts, 2 on this corner, 2 in this corner, and the whole lid will come off. So I'm going to do that now. Now what you can do is you can remove 1 nut from each side without worrying, because then you got the other nut holding it on. Loosen it up, spin them off. You don't need to hold anything on the top because there's a square cutout in the bracket that the top bolt meshes with, so there's no need to remove it, or no need to hold it. Now the ones in the corner are a little tricky. Again, if you have the nut driver, it makes it a little bit easier, but a wrench would definitely get in there as well. I've done it with both. Once you loosen it, you can just do it by hand. They come off pretty easy. Alright, now at this point, if you have someone else that can help you out, it makes it a lot easier. I don't, so I'll show you how to do it with just one. But you could have one person hold the lid in the up position. When the lid is in the up position like this, you don't have very much tension on these torsion springs. Now in this case where one of them is broken, I don't know at this point which one's broken, but one of these is going to have tension on it, the other one will have no tension on it, but with it in the up position, even the one that normally has tension on it will be at its least tensioned state when the lid is up. So I'm going to start loosening on this guy. You could also find something to prop under the lid. That's another way of doing it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get both sides loose so it's still holding on. And then I'm going to put my whole arm under it at this point and just spin them off by hand. Okay, so that's all of them. I gotta find that one. So now at this point, all you gotta do is pull out and just be careful because the brackets will fall and you're gonna have the 2 bolts still sitting in them. And the brackets will literally just fall off. As you can see, the bracket has a cutout, it meshes with this bolt, and actually the fact that that's spinning around like that means that that's the broken one. As you'll see, this one will not spin. It's nice and tight. What you could actually do is even take like a 10mm wrench, or you could just take like your vice grips or something like that, or pliers, and put it on the end and twist it, and you'll feel it. You'll feel the spring tension on that one. So it'll go and it'll spring right back. Whereas the other side just is kind of flopping all around. Oop. And that will pull right out like that. Now if you look at it, just to confirm, it will be broken somewhere. Now this one I already had a part, and what I ended up doing was I physically cut the spring just for the purposes of this video. Wanted to show you. I have seen one break previously, and on that machine I had the customer send back the spring so we can analyze and figure out what's going on. It was right at the bend where the bend of the spring goes back into the holder, and that's where I cut this one. So you most likely, I'm guessing, if it did happen again, it's going to happen in the same spot, right where that spring breaks and goes into the holder. So now with that out, you need to grab your replacement spring. Now these are sold in sets, and that's done intentionally because there is a left and a right. So to make sure you get the one that you need, you get both. So just hold on to the other one in case you need it at some point down the road. They'll come pretty well greased up. You can wipe off the excess grease, but you definitely want to keep as much of that grease on there as you can. And what you'll see is on this end, you'll see that the this aluminum is actually kind of cut out, and it will mesh with the end here. If you look in the end, it'll kind of have this shape to it where you just kind of have to line it up. It won't go in if you try putting it in that way. It'll line up, and then you just slide it in. Now it'll get to a point where it's not going to want to go in anymore, because again, if you look at the other end, there's like a notch there, and that notch needs some pre-tension on it to go into the holder. So what I would recommend using, again, you could use a 10mm wrench. This would work. You can kind of put it on there, turn it, get that tension on it, and then physically push down. Obviously, if this is on a table, it would make it a lot easier. But turn it, and then push down. It will pop in there, just like that. The other method would be to take like a pair of pliers or like vice grips and just grab it from the end. And they're much more difficult to come out when they're not broken because of all the tension that's on them. So again, this would probably be the easiest. Turn it and just push it right on down. And if it doesn't fully seat, you could tap it with a mallet or just the back of your vice grip. So that's in there, and that's ready to go back in the machine. So again, you've got your bracket. There is a left and a right hand side. They will not go in if you try putting them on the wrong side. So what you want to do is you want to take your bracket, and again, 2 people makes it a little bit easier, but it's definitely doable with 1. Set your bracket into the one side, which I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to put the nuts right on. I'm not going to tighten them down at this point. Alright, so you can still wiggle it around. Now, you got to put it in the vertical position because again, you need it when there is not tension on the spring. So if I try putting it in this way, it just won't line up. So with the lid lifted up, you got to slide it in there. And then this allows you to do is slide the other side in. It just makes it a little bit easier to put one side in first, because then you can get the nuts on there and get that ready to go instead of trying to finagle putting all the nuts on at one time. So that one's kind of secure already. So now you can throw these bolts in, or you can actually, no, in this case, you want to have it mesh first. So put the bracket on the end and then guide the bolts into the holes. Require a little manipulation, but they'll go in. Alright, as soon as you get them through enough to get a couple nuts started, I suggest doing that. And as soon as you can, I would get one bolt on each side, at least snug down. Gotta find the nut that fell. You don't have to be crazy tight. If you're using a wrench, make sure you don't over tighten them because you got a lot more torque when you're using a wrench. Alright, and that is it. You can lower it down. At this point, you can put your back cover on, again, 3mm wrench, and you will be good to go. And now, close the lid. This one doesn't have a gasket in it, so it does make that slamming sound when you go down. But it will hold. So any questions, please email. You can email Andrew at jvrinc.com. You can email service at jvrinc.com. Or feel free to call us at the office, 716-206-2500. And again, I'm Andrew with JVR Industries, and thanks for watching.